Today on our 2016 Mini Countryman, we're going to be taking a look at and I'm going to show you how to install the Roadmaster EZ5 base plate kit with removable arms. Part number RM-521-883-5. This is what our EZ5 base plate looks like when it's installed. As you can see, it fits nice and flush with the fascia. It's not going to stick out, protrude. It's not an eyesore. It looks really nice on there. It's going to have a nice black powder coat finish, so it's going to resist any rust or corrosion. You're going to have removable arms. Simply slide them in, twist, and they lock into place. You'll have one of these for both sides to remove it. Simply pull the ring, twist, and it slides out. It's going to be one of 5 main components in a flat toe setup. The other 4 are going to be your braking system, your lighting, your safety cables, and your tow bar. Now what this base plate is going to do for you is it's going to allow you to safely flat tow your vehicle behind your RV when you're traveling. As far as the installation goes, it is a pretty straightforward installation. You're not going to have to do any welding. You will have to remove your fascia. Again, you'll have to do a little bit of trimming here. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. It's going to come with all the necessary hardware. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let me show you how easy it is to get installed. To begin our install, we're going to have to take off our grill. To do that, we're going to have 4 bolts that run across the top here. Now, our instructions say they're supposed to be 10mm head bolts. In our case, they are going to be T25 Torx head bolts. Next, we're going to pull our grill off. You just want to grab like right around this corner. Just kind of wiggle it out. It should just pop right out of there. Just like that. We're going to have 4 fasteners right here inside of our fender well that we need to take out. One's going to be a push pin fastener down here. You're going to have an 8mm head bolt right here. And you're going to have 2 fasteners right here that we're going to have to remove. We'll start with the 8mm bolt. There's not really a particular order that these need to come out. Flathead screwdriver. Like that. Make sure you pull the base out with it. And then for our top 2 are going to be a little bit different because there's like a little bitty pin right in the center. But if you pry out just enough, like that, you can actually grab it and pull it out. And we're going to repeat that same thing on the other side. This trim piece right here, we need to pull this off our front fascia. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your liner, you're going to pull it back, and you're going to have 3 little plastic clips right in here. If you reach up and then pull down on them, you'll be able to pull them out. I'll show you what it looks like here. So this is going to be your clip. What you want to do is reach up there and just pull down on it. Just like that. So what I like to do, since we're going to be moving the fascia around to get it off, I'm going to take some tape and I'm going to cover this edge right here so it doesn't scratch it. You can use electrical tape, black tape, you know, whatever you have. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. We just want to protect the paint job on the car. Just something like that. I'd say go ahead and do that on the other side also. We're going to have a couple of lights right here on the sides. We need to unplug those. We're just going to push in and pull out. You're going to have one of those on both sides of the vehicle. Now we need to come underneath our vehicle. Now our instructions tell us we're going to have 2 push pin fasteners and a T25 Torx bit. We don't have a T25 Torx bit down here. This is going to be a 10mm head bolt. Now our instructions tell us we need to take out the 2 push pin fasteners. You can see here we have 4 that are attaching this to our fascia. However, if we just remove this 10mm bolt, we don't need to take this off. You can see it's loose. Next, once you have that removed on both sides of the vehicle, you're going to have 3 push pin fasteners right across the center. So flathead screwdriver right in the center, trim panel tool. You want to make sure that the base comes out with it. If it doesn't come out, pull the base out. You can always slide this back into it. Next, on the front, we're going to have 2 T25 Torx bit head bolts. We're going to have one here and one on the other side. Go ahead and remove those. Now, our instructions don't tell this, but right here, there's actually a 10mm head bolt that we have to remove. It's holding the top part of the fascia on. Then we're going to repeat that on the other side. Now we can start pulling our fascia off. One thing to keep in mind, if you have fog lights, those will need to be unplugged. So we'll just start right here underneath of this fender trim piece. We're just going to start pulling out. I'm actually going to get a second person. I'd recommend doing the same. You can see we have a couple of plugs here we're going to need to remove. Put one there. So here's the plug on the back of our lights. What you want to do is you just want to push in on the bottom to release it. You're going to have one of those on each side. This one, you're just going to have one push down like that. Next thing we need to do is we need to remove our ambient temperature sensor. All we're going to do, we don't want to break this. We're just going to slide it out like that. Then we're going to have a clip here on the side of this we need to remove. Well, let's let that hang for now, and then we need to remove this. This one actually happens to be loose, but if you look right here, these little tabs actually fit right inside of here. If you take a flathead screwdriver and you just push them, you can see how that flexes. That'll release them. Go ahead and pull that off. We're going to do that on both sides. Next thing we need to do is we need to remove our bumper core from the frame. In order to do that, we're going to have 2 bolts down here on the bottom, we're going to have 2 at the top, and then we're going to have a couple Torx head screws. Our instructions tell us that these are going to be 16mm head bolts, except they're not. They're 13mm head bolts. The 2 top ones are going to be 16. On the driver's side, they're going to be back behind here, but you're not going to be able to access them like this. You're going to have to go underneath the car. Go ahead and remove the 2 bottom ones on both sides. This bottom one here we can get to with just the wrench in the socket. So next, on the inside here, there's actually a 16mm head nut that we need to take off. So what I have found, the instructions don't tell you this, but right inside your fender well, you're going to have 4 8mm head bolts, and you can take this off. It gives you a lot more room to work. 8mm socket. We'll go ahead and remove this nut, just like that. And you'll have one of these on the passenger side also. Next, take a T20 Torx bit. We're going to have 3 screws we need to remove. Our directions tell us 2. They tell us this one here and that one up there. Except on this one, we have one right here. We don't take this off. It's attached to this whole bottom piece. You're not going to be able to get your bumper core off. Then you're going to have the same 3 on the other side. Now we're going to have 2 16mm head nuts on this side and on the other side. Before we take those all the way off, right down here at the bottom, you see this hose? This hose runs all the way across and it attaches to the bottom. So we're just going to unclip it like that. We'll do the same thing here on the passenger side. Now we'll take our 16mm socket. Go ahead and pull off the 2 remaining nuts. And I would suggest sliding this out slowly. Make sure you don't hook any of your wires, your hoses, or anything like that. Just like that. You want to make sure that your bumper core is upside down on a flat surface, table, workbench, the floor if you want. You're going to need some black spray paint or some clear coat. If you have a die grinder, you're going to need a die grinder with a bit like this or a 1/2 inch drill bit. If you have a long one like this, you can use it just in a drill. If you don't, grinding bit and die grinder. What we're going to do is we're going to take our base plate like this, and you're going to have two holes. You're going to have one here and have one on the other side. You're going to have two holes here on the bumper core. We're going to line those two up. And you can see on this side, this hole's not exactly straight. We can't go forward anymore because we're caught there, and we can't go side to side because this plate here is up against our bumper core. So what we need to do is we're going to open these holes up to a 1/2 inch, which is the holes that are already in the bumper core. Just like that. We're going to do that on both sides. Now we want to take some spray paint and we're going to spray that bare metal. That'll help keep it from rusting and corroding later on down the road. Give it a good coat. Do that on both sides. Now we're going to take 1/2 inch bolt. You're going to get a nut plate like this. Take a lock washer, slide it onto your bolt. Some red Loctite. Now this does not come in your kit, but you can find it on our website. You want to make sure that this goes on all of your hardware. What we're going to do is we're going to take a bolt. We're going to go down through a hole like this. A nut plate. We're going to go inside this back hole right back here. Thread them together. We don't want them completely tight just yet. Just want to hand tighten it on there. And we'll do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to take a 19mm socket and I'm going to tighten this so that it's sitting flat and it's holding our bracket against our bumper core correctly. And go ahead and do that same thing on the other side. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to turn our bumper beam up like this. We want to make sure that our base plate is square with our bumper core. We're going to have two holes here on both sides. We're going to drill these out to a 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my 1/2 inch drill bit. I'm going to make me a mark in there. That way when I go to my smaller one, it doesn't move around on me. We're going to use the same combination of hardware. Again, make sure your Loctite is on. I'm going to go through the hole like this, our nut plate. Come in this back hole on the bumper beam. Get those all together. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Don't forget your second one on that side. Next, we're going to tighten and then torque all of our hardware to the specifications and the instructions. Next, we're going to cut off the end of our wires. We're going to use some tin snips here. Going to repeat that on the other side. Now we can get our bumper beam back into place. Again, watch your rubber hoses there. We don't want to damage them. Same thing over here on the passenger side. So if you notice this piece here, with our base plate installed, we cannot get it past this section. We're going to have to cut a little section out of this. I'm going to use basically a Dremel tool with a cutting blade. You can use a utility knife if you have one. Basically just like that. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you can see on this piece here that I already cut, I need to come up just a little bit higher because it's still pushing against it. And then right here in this corner, you can see where it's hitting it. It's actually pushing this against the radiator. I don't really like that, so I'm going to cut a notch out of there so this will sit inside of it. Now we've got our bumper core up here. Looks good. We got the necessary adjustments needed, cut out in places we needed to cut out. It fits well. Now we can go ahead and reinstall all of our hardware in reverse order from the way we took it out. Next thing we're gonna do, we've got our fascia just sitting up here. What I need to do is I need to mark and cut out my fascia right here for my base plate. So I'm just gonna take a black marker or any color marker you want, really. That's gonna have to come off. And I think I'm gonna have to cut off this edge right here. I'm gonna do that on both sides. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. It doesn't look like I'm gonna have to cut this out. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait, get my other side cut out for this section, and then we'll see how the fascia falls in place. I may not need to do this here. Now that we have our fascia cut out, we're going to go ahead and remove it and reinstall our air tubes on both sides. And anything else we need to put on while our fascia is off. Ambient temperature sensor. We actually zip tied it right to the back side here. Now we can put our fascia back in place. However, keep in mind if there's any other wiring, accessories, anything like that, you're going to be putting them on, now would be the time to put them on while you have the fascia off. And that'll do it for a look at and installation on the Roadmaster EZ5 base plate kit with removable arms, part number RM-521883-5 on our 2016 Mini Countryman.